Hello Pisces friends, I'm Annie Botticelli and welcome to my Pisces April 2023 Astrology Horoscope Forecast. This is for you if Pisces is your sun sign, your moon sign, your rising sign, or any other placement of Pisces that you watch for. What we're going to talk about here will be part of your astrological picture. And wow, do we have a doozy of a month. We've got Saturn just recently moving into your sign for the first time in 27 years. We have an eclipse and the effects from the next eclipse. So we've got a continuation of the Taurus-Scorpio eclipse cycle and a new eclipse cycle, the Aries-Libra eclipse cycle, starting with a black moon solar eclipse in Aries. We've got a ton of Aries energy in the sky, plus personal planets and some other planets moving through Taurus. So we're going to talk about how all of this may affect you. Also, we have the closing up of that brilliant open window free from personal planet retrogrades. So the first part of the month is going to be very different than as we move past April 7th. So those are the things we're going to talk about. My goal is to help equip you to understand the energies that are going on in April so that you can make the most of this very, very intense month. I want to talk about some of the softer and easier to discuss planetary movements and placements first, just to get them out of the way so that I don't forget about them once I start to get into these bigger transits. So the first thing to know is that we have a lot of Aries energy happening. This has been happening. If you listen to my report for March, you know that I was talking about a continuation and intensification of focus on money and income, how you use money, your resources, and how you budget them, and material items and your relationship with the material realm. So all of those energies actually continue. And I could very justifiably name this video something about mega money again, because those potentials are so strong, and that is going to be ongoing for a little while longer. But it's really happening now. So if you've wanted to redo your financial experience, you have ample opportunity this month. And some of that may center around shifting your financial consciousness. I actually have a free course about this called Unleash Your Money Magnet. You can see it at lumelife.com, Lume life.com. And just scroll through the courses until you see Unleash Your Money Magnet. This is a time where you can make major headway on the things that you believe about money, which can affect how you experience your finances. The other thing that these Aries energies are doing for everybody, but especially for water signs, including Pisces, is bringing your watery pot to a boil. Whenever we have any fire placements, and we have a ton, we have the Sun, Chiron, Jupiter, star goddess Estrella, star goddess Vesta. We've got Eris. Well, Eris will be there forever, so that's not really saying much. But we also have Mercury continuing its movement through Aries. So all of those placements in Aries are more heat elements underneath your watery pot. So that can mean emotions coming to a boil, for better or worse. That can mean motivation. That can mean an amplification of your clarity. We still do have a lot of energy for clear and direct movement, especially at the beginning of this month. Once we get to April 7th, as I mentioned before, we start to get into the Mercury pre-transit shadow period, and then we'll sort of step into many months of retrograde focus, because we will have a Venus retrograde this summer or winter for you all down under. So we'll have a Mercury retrograde, then a Venus retrograde, then another Mercury retrograde. So we are going to have a very strong focus of inward and backward and changes to plans and not being able to see that far ahead of you, sort of a time for editing, a time for repairing, and just showing up for what is instead of trying to create what may be. You know, it's definitely a time to be where you're at. But that shifting point happens around April 7th. And until then, we're really in this gung-ho, pushing forward, activating brand new, big decisions, big actions, and really trying to make your mark in the external world. There definitely won't be any shortage of impulsivity in March and April. And that's definitely going to be strong all month and for a little while to come. But this month is kind of a pinnacle of those energies. So just kind of be aware that impulsivity can help you to take action on things that you've been wanting to make happen for a long time. That's the best way to use it. It can also cause you to overspend or overdo. So just a little warning there in case you see that energy coming, to kind of like tune in and know that things are going to start slowing down pretty soon, and just gauge the decisions that you make based on the fact that that is impending. If you have to ask for a raise or look for a job making better money or add some income streams, this is an amazing, amazing time, and there will definitely be lots of opportunities for that. As the planets continue to move through Taurus and more planets get into Taurus, this is a grounding out time. This is like a reality check type of energy. This is a time where practicality will prevail over impulsivity. And so these are also placements that move very harmoniously with yours. The earth and water energies speak a similar enough language that they get each other, right? So you might be converting inspiration into action for practical inner and outer steps. And you might notice that as the month moves on, the focus comes from out there and the future more into in here. And there still could be future focus, but it's more around editing, shifting, reevaluating, beta types of things, analyzing. And as the month goes on, you'll see plans will start to shift or get called into question, and things that were secure and sure will get tested. Okay, so we are entering a period of time where, solidity is being tested, and it really behooves you, after April 7th especially and on, to schedule yourself as lightly as possible and make room for last minute magic. It's one of my favorite manifestations that I like to call, this tendency of a retrograde to bring last minute opportunities. While it's not always a great time to try to plan things ahead of time, or even, sometimes at the time, it's a really good time to leave some space open so that if someone invites you somewhere or something comes up for you to take advantage of, that you've got a little room in your schedule to do that. April 7th and onward is a time where flexible contracts and agreements and shorter term contracts and agreements are better. And you can go into something a little bit longer term as long as there's some flexibility there, where if something doesn't work out, you can get out of it. And overall, it's a really great time for learning. So if you want to take courses or better yourself in some way or another, this is a fantastic time for that. And also, if you're trying to improve your education or get more education for your present or future income, there's a lot of energy around that in your chart at this time, because that, the money-making topic, as I said before, and the education and study topics are coming together, where this might be a good time to settle in and kind of take that class or do that course that you need to advance your income potentials, or to start to change for, prepare for a different profession, because there's a lot of that going on too. We're stepping out of a time after the first week of the month where it's really, a lot of new things. Aries energy is the baby of the zodiac. So it's kind of like, I want to do this, I want to do that, I want to do this, I want to do that. And, it can be a little bit all over the place that way. But the Taurus energies will start to ground things in, and you will find yourself starting to look at the things that you've done in recent times and start to cherry pick the things that you want now to invest more energy in. We're kind of like trying a bunch of different things, doing a bunch of different things. And now as the month progresses, you're narrowing down to the things that really you want to get deeper into and really, like I said, invest in, whether it's your time or, focus. This is what is happening with the evolution of the month. So the last personal planet that I want to talk about before we get into these really big aspects with Saturn moving into your sign for the first time in 27 years and the new black moon eclipse cycle here that's starting and the previous eclipse cycle that's continuing, I want to talk about Mars, because Mars has recently moved into fellow water sign, and it was in Gemini for a long time. And that was not good news for Pisces, because from August of 2022 through the end of March of 2023, you had the planet of zest and get up and go and how you use your energy in a square to your placements for an exceedingly long amount of time. It's unusual that Mars is in a sign for that long. And so this sign happened to have been rubbing, in a very awkward, uncomfortable, pressured way. So you've been having this 90-degree angle testing your family and your home and your housing and your real estate matters, and your inner world, your emotions. And now it's cracking through to move into a fellow water sign, which is a completely different story. Okay, so this combined with all of that motivation, that amplification of the Aries energies can really be wonderful for how you use your energy. And you might find that even though we are moving into a time of some Mercury retrograde energy, you might still find that your energy is moving a little bit more smoothly as this planet of action moves through, speaking a language that you understand and accentuating your creativity, your fun, your bucket list house, your children and creativity, and is just sending really beautiful beams for inspiration and the capacity to follow through with things that have to be done in a way that's more gentle than probably it has been for 8 or so months. Okay, so one more explanation of how the energies shift through the month before we get into these big dogs here. Understanding April, there are two very different energetics at play. The early part of the month is this setting your boat afloat to go with the tides out to get off of the deserted island. I always like to use these tides as an explanation of how to use direct energies. When the planetary energy is moving direct, if you're trying to get off the island, you'll have to paddle less because the tide is already going out. And then as April moves on, it's a time to sit on the beach and ponder getting off the island, or ponder, writing your message in a bottle, but waiting to send it out. Because if you throw your message in a bottle out onto the tides, when the tide is coming in, as it is in the retrogrades, then the bottle or the boat will just come floating right back to you on the shore. So this is a wonderful time to enjoy the things that you've already created. Do your big push towards the beginning of the month, and then shift into enjoying what you've already created and just seeing what the tides bring to you, where you deal with what comes to you rather than conjuring or trying to go out, to make things happen. Speaking of tides, I'm sorry, my voice is a little crackly because we have a red tide here now and just the air quality is terrible and I'm really feeling it. So hopefully I can get through these while my voice is still working from those tides. Okay, so now we can get into this big story of Saturn moving into your sign. This is very recent. It happened in March, but it happened towards the beginning of March, but it's still only a couple of degrees in here by the time we are here in April. So it's very new and it's going to be very present for a long time. So into 2026, right? So that's the storyline that we're working with here. So let's break it down. Saturn is the taskmaster. It's the natural ruler of Capricorn, and it is the energy of bringing something into form from the ethereal or the thought. It's making it manifest into the physical plane. And using birth as an example of taking an ethereal idea, an ethereal spark, and birthing it into form is like a childbirth. Childbirth is very painful. I do know a few people who have had, not painful deliveries, but that's definitely in the minority. It hurts to birth something into the material plane, and it can be heavy and it can be tedious and hard. And Saturn represents all of that diligence and all of that consistency and all of that discipline that is required for bringing things that from the unseen realm into the seen realm. And so wherever Saturn moves, it's seeking to manifest, it's seeking to create. All right. But in the process, it can also feel like it's crushing. So in the process of creating, you might feel crushed. And if you are a very early degree Pisces, so if you're like, February 19th, 20th, 21st, 22nd, 23rd, those days around there, and 24th, right at the beginning there, or like 0 through 5 degrees, you are having Saturn cross over your Pisces placement now, and it is not fun. Sometimes, for sure, depression and heaviness and, obstacles can definitely be keynotes of this time. But it shows you very clearly what needs your attention. And in that way, it can be a great gift. And speaking of gifts, when Saturn leaves a sign or a house, it brings gifts. So it brings gifts to the degree that you do the work that Saturn wants you to do. So you're basically taking all of that raw emotion and creativity and inspiration and spiritual connection and ethereal visions, and you are, over the next few years, bringing them into manifestation. And whatever it takes to create that is what you're going to experience at this time, and that's going to look different for everybody. But for this period of time, just understanding that that's what's going on can help to alleviate some of the heaviness. Now, since Pisces rules the 12th house, and it's that energy of, the quiet realm, it's ancestral, the cosmic soup, the DNA, like I said, ethereal, spiritual, all of and psychological, and mental, even mental in the way of how your emotions are related to your thoughts. So if you have trouble with managing your emotions, managing your empathic nature, telling the difference between your energy and other people's energy, Saturn is here now to help you to fine-tune that. And this is a time where you can convert being debilitated by your sensitivity to really being able to use and experience your sensitivity as the strength that it can be. All right, so that's what's going on with Saturn. So remember the keynotes, anything with discipline, consistency. So we're talking about managing your unruly thoughts, managing your addictive mind, and managing and directing your raw power of creation. Meditation can be very helpful with this, psychotherapy, trauma therapies, if that's relevant for you, emotional clearing, karmic clearing, painting, writing, anything where you're taking the idea and the feeling and making it, manifest onto this plane is all great use of this energy. Okay, so now let's talk about the eclipses. We've got one eclipse this month as a two-part eclipse cycle here. We've got one in April and one in May. The one in April introduces the new Aries Libra polarity, which is another me-we polarity. We've been working with Taurus and Scorpio, which is my stuff and our stuff. We've got me-we working here. So from now through 2025, we're going to have Aries Libra eclipses every 6-ish months. And so you can think back to the end of 2013 through early 2016. You can think further back to early 2004 to early 2006. And this is, these are the groupings of time where we had Aries Libra eclipses prior. And to look back to those times and kind of see some of the me-we storylines and shuffling around of energy in your me-we sectors, as I like to call them. Now, if something bad happened during those times, don't worry. Don't think that that's necessarily going to happen again. There are unique astrological factors that occur during each eclipse cycle. And some of the factors that were occurring at that time that were combining with the eclipse energy might not be present at this time. So, we're looking at general themes here. What are the ways that, you came more towards yourself or away from yourself, more towards others or away from others, joining with others, your relationship with self, your relationship with others? That's what's really at play here for this time. And this energy of new moon at 29 degrees on April 19th and 20th, depending on your time zone, really, really new energies, new chapters being opened up. And a lot of this energy is really centered around a brand new cycle of major initiation. Okay, so that's really the theme that we're working with here. And so you'll see things happening at this time. Oh, and when I say this time, I mean 4 to 6 weeks or so, could be even more, before and after each eclipse. So 4 to 6 weeks before April 19th, we're in March, so if you're listening to this early, if you were listening to my March report, I warned you that, hey, the eclipse energies are starting to cook up here in March. So you may have already had insights into how this energy is manifesting even before the eclipse, because we have, the eclipses as an astronomical event are finite. They happen at that moment. Eclipses as an astrological event lend themselves to storylines that started way before and way after that actual moment, as I've been explaining here with these timelines. All right, so we're talking about things occurring that can help you to have greater empowerment and independence and self-expression. It's very zesty energy, plus all the other Aries energy that's going on, bold leadership, things having to do with your wellness, vibrant wellness, deepened self-esteem, and basically bountiful, fresh options for new experiences. So this is, a time where new things are happening. And with the light of the retrograde energies, there could be new things that have a little bit of a link to the past. So something you had an idea about that now is coming present as an experience. Something you maybe had started before and never really did anything with can come back now in a big way. So for all Pisces placements, you're going to feel this energy in your second house of money. So all that energy that we talked about with finances and sustainability and income and material items, now we also have that activated by this eclipse cycle. So like I told you before, this money thing is a short-term accentuation from planets that are moving quickly, but it's a long-term accentuation from things like this eclipse cycle. If you want to see more how Aries eclipses can manifest, I suggest you go to Annie Botticelli, my YouTube channel, scroll down on my homepage, find my eclipse series, and watch the eclipses in Aries video. All right, it'll say eclipses in Aries or first house because they relate the same. And I also suggest you watch my eclipses in the second house or Taurus video, because that's the house that is manifesting for you as Pisces. And so by, watching those videos, you'll get way more insight into how these eclipses may manifest for you and can really bring life-changing direction, trajectory, shifting news. And so we've got this new energy of this solar eclipse. Then we have, in May, a 14-degree of Scorpio lunar eclipse, and that's on May 5th. But you will be feeling that now. We're in eclipse cycle for that as well. I'll talk more about that eclipse and its potential manifestations in the May report, but just to know that your stuff and other people's money and your money and all of that is, really getting activated and shuffled around at this time from that eclipse cycle. Okay, I'm going to give you a couple of dates to put stars on your calendar to look out for potential very big manifestations. And if you want a more complete list of my top favorite aspects and the ones to watch and be aware of, and neutral aspects that could go either way, plus a written report for the energies of the month delivered into your inbox 1 month early, go to anniehelpsyou.com and sign up for my free email newsletter. That same site, which the link for that, anniehelpsyou.com, is also underneath the notes to the video or podcast, is also the interface for all of the free goodies that I make for you each month. And there are many. I have 2 blog sites. I have a school that has some free classes, for a free newsletter. I have books. So you can check all that out there. But I'll give you a couple of dates here. So put a star around April 11th when the Sun and Jupiter get together in Aries. And this is just extra zest and extra manifestation. Jupiter tends to be lucky, although it can cause a little ruckus sometimes. And the Sun will amplify whatever Jupiter's doing. But a lot of times it manifests as some luck or, just a really cool experience. Okay, so another date to note is April 27th, when Mars in Cancer will square Chiron in Aries. This is a little nasty. Okay, this is one of the ones to look out for. And also, the 21st, we have Mercury actually going retrograde. I told you the shadow period starts April 7th. So the days around April 21st can be a little, before and after that, can be a little bit more chaotic as Mercury changes directions. And then on the 27th, we've got this clash with Mars and Chiron, which can make you feel really, uncover some deep wounds and can make you just kind of throw you off a little bit. It could also be, a little dangerous physically. So just kind of be extra aware the days before and after. So like around April 22nd through the end of the month, the closer to the 27th, have a little extra care knowing there's a little bit of activation of, aggro type of energies. And then one more date to look out for blessings. And the days around April 29th, Mars in Cancer, again, this time makes a nice aspect with Uranus. So this is, just surprise sweetness that could come in a magical way. I realize that I usually, in the beginning of the report, tell you that if you are a very late degree friend, so if your birthday is like March 13th through the rest of the sign, or if your Pisces placement is like 23 degrees through the rest of the sign, I suggest you additionally listen to or watch my Aries report, because you very late degree cuspy people will benefit from both readings. Okay, so that Mars in Cancer making a nice aspect with Uranus in the days around April 29th, that is happening at 18 degrees. And since you are a water sign, if you have any placements, of water placements, if your Pisces placement or any other water placements that are close to 18 degrees, you'll get an extra kiss from that beautiful aspect. So we'll say like 13 degrees through 23 degrees, the closer to 18 degrees, the more you get a kiss. And that is birthdays like around March 3rd through around March 13th, and the closer to around March 7th or 8th, the more you get the kiss from that aspect. Okay, so you can see notes underneath the video or podcast as to how to find more free goodies. I want to alert you to some other offerings that you may love, including my free Unleash Your Money Magnet course that I mentioned earlier in the report. If you go to lumelife.com, L-U-M-E life.com, that's my school, Luminous Life Multiversity, you'll find some free wellness classes and my free money creation class. And if you want to be a professional astrologer or just start with the basics, I've got a basics course and I've got a becoming a professional astrologer mastery course that will knock your socks off, because I've been a successful entrepreneur for 25 years and I've been a successful online entrepreneur for 17 years. So I can really show you how to learn astrology, give a kick butt reading every time, and take your love of the stars and convert it into earning money from your passion. Or if you just want to study astrology to help yourself and your friends, you can find that at lumelife.com, that class, or you can go directly to beastropro.com, beastropro.com. If you want to see an insight into all of the retrograde and direct energies of the year, check out my retrograde direct calendar in my exclusive content portal at AnnieBAstrology.com. Annie, the letter B, astrology.com. And of course, AnnieHelpsYou.com is the interface for all my free goodies, including my newsletter, where I have a write-up of all of the sweet and salty dates and things that you can expect for the month. I hope you have a wonderful month, and I'll see you next month. Bye.